Good morning, card media. It's RJ back with another video. So let's get to it. Today's random Mike Schmidt item of the day from the year 2009, Upper Deck Gaudi 4-in-1. This particular card's been in my collection for a while, as Manny Ramirez, Mike Schmidt, of course, Alex Rodriguez, and Ken Griffey Jr. Two players who are in the Hall of Fame, two players who should have been in the Hall of Fame, save for the steroid scandal. Anyway, I assumed this was just a cool little insert, and that was all there was. But, and just, as I thumb through the bay, as I always do, I come across all kinds of bizarre Mike Schmidt cards I often didn't know existed, saw this, or what I thought was this, but in fact, it was a variation. Apparently, there are several parallels with different players. This one has Mike Schmidt and Robin Yount as Hall of Famers. But current stars of the day, from back in 2009, Ryan Howard and Cecil Fielder. Howard and Schmidt on the Phillies, Yount and Fielder from the Brewers at the time. Not only this a variation, there were parallel blue cards. So this is the same card here, but in a blue field. There's no numbering on this one, but I learned there are other variations. There's other groups of players with Mike Schmidt in the corner. So suddenly, which I thought was just one card of my set, has become a number of cards for my Schmidt collection that I'm going to have to track down. Loads of fun, but hey, that's what we do as collectors. We pick a spot, pick a passion, and stick with it. My random baseball item of the day, kind of like a side note from what I'm working on. Card here of an individual on the Cubs known as Mark Leiter Jr. Now, Mark Leiter Jr. is no big name. Mark Leiter was a decent pitcher for a couple different teams back in the day. He was with the Phillies himself. Mark Leiter Sr. was. The Al Leiter, Mark Leiter's brother, therefore Mark Jr.'s uncle, is a analyst with MLB Network. If MLB Network is still on the air, I don't know. I haven't seen it because I don't get it. But Al Leiter has been a long time baseball analyst for a while now. Anyway, Mark Leiter Jr. was on the Phillies when he first came up. I had forgotten all about him because look at these stats. Mark Leiter Jr., 2 years in 2017 and 2018 with the Phillies. We traded him towards the end of the season to the Blue Jays. And then look, nothing until last year, 35 games with the Cubs. I guess he's been in the minors, dancing around, and finally got himself back into shape and got a call up and was with the Cubs for a while last year. I don't know what happened to him since then. The reason I have this card pulled out is because as I was going through my update set, and you can see this is from Update this year, the reason I have this card in my hand is because this is going to go in my all-time Phillies binders. I'm putting together a binder or several binders. It's going to be several binders. At least one card of every person to ever play for the Phillies in any capacity, be it a single plate appearance or what. And Mark Leiter I'm sure there are cards since he played for 2 years back in the late 2000 and teens for the Phillies. There's probably a regular card of him, but I like to get full stats when I put the cards in that binder. And this will give me the ability to get full stats on his card. So I just have to put this in with my other Phillies cards that I keep set aside for insertion into the binder as I get to that year. It's a multi-year undertaking. I'm already up to, the Phillies started in 1883. I haven't even reached the 1930s yet, putting the cards together, because most of the cards I'm kind of creating on my own. If you want to know how in the world is he going to get cards of every player who ever played with a team, no matter what that team is, I'm literally creating several of them. I just haven't had a chance to paste them all together. That's what I'm working on. But Mark Leiter Jr. having a card with his stats on the back is important to me. That's why I have that one. So, today's trivia question. I got two really cool cards from this year's Heritage. One of Kyle Schwarber, a bomber on the Phillies, who I'm going to take a stab at this. This is Friday's video, so by now, the winners of the championships and the leagues, the winners of the pennant in each league are decided, and I'm going to take a stab that it's Phillies versus Astros. Okay, so if I'm wrong, you guys can call me out. Anyway, you got a great Kyle Schwarber here, and you got Yordan Alvarez over here, the two bombers for the two World Series entrances into the this year's World Series. So those are your prize if you can tell me the answer to this question. All right, I had an interesting question about consecutive hits on consecutive pitches on Wednesdays, and I'm going to go a step further this year. You can actually find a great video on this if you want to go search John Boy. He made a great video on this during last year's playoffs. So on the route to the World Series last year, the Phillies also went through the Braves, and they had a game against the Braves when they beat up on Spencer Strider and a couple relievers. And in the span of 6 pitches, literally 6 pitches. So whoever was up at the plate at the time, and he got a hit, the Phillies started a rally. So 6 individuals in a row got hits on 6 consecutive pitches. So after that guy got a hit, and on whatever count it was, however many balls and strikes he had, he got a hit. The next guy up got a hit. The guy after him got a hit. That's 3. The guy after him got a hit. 4. The guy after him got a hit. 5. The guy after him got a hit. 6. All of those were on consecutive pitches. The other 5 men to step to the plate swung at the first pitch and hit it, and got to base safely until number 7 did not get a hit on the first pitch. So the question I have for you is, from that game, again, it was a game that it was in Philadelphia. Spencer Strider was pitching at the time that it started. He got pulled and did not complete the 6 consecutive hits. Other pitchers took over. Name for me all 6 Phillies players that got hits off consecutive pitches, okay? And that would include the guy who had some count on him before he actually connected. So name for me those 6 Phillies players. Send me an email with the correct answer. I will include my email in the description below, along with a repeat of that question. You'll have today and tomorrow to answer, and we will pick a winner on Sunday. So good luck to you on that, all right? All right, so today's video, I want to show off, or I want to highlight again, it's Friday again, and I'm, again, highlighting a forgotten Hall of Fame member. Now, this is a more contemporary individual than Morgan Bulkley, who I did last year, and so as not to overload you with executives and umpires and, people that the average baseball fan obviously wouldn't know because they were executives and umpires and things. This one is a player. So allow me to introduce you, because you probably don't know this individual, to Heinie Manush. What did you say, RJ? That's right. 1964 Hall of Fame inductee, Heinie Manush. In this particular case, here he is as an outfielder with the Washington Senators. Now, why did Mr. Manush make it to the Hall of Fame, and how is it you do not even know his name? Well, let's take a look at the life and times of Heinie Manush. Give me a second. I got some pictures and some discussion for you on this man, this Hall of Famer. Give me a second.
Heinie Manush was born on July 20th, 1901 in Tuscumbia, Alabama. He was one of 7 sons, 6 of whom ended up playing professional baseball at some level. He was a student at Macy Military Academy in Pulaski, Tennessee, and drifted west to find work with one of his brothers. It was in this area that he began to play baseball as a professional sport. Heinie played professional baseball in 1921 with Edmonton of the Western Canadian League, and joined Omaha of the Western League the following year before joining the Detroit Tigers at the age of 21. This was an era in which Ty Cobb was the player manager of the Tigers, and Heinie flourished under Ty Cobb's tutelage, and Ty bragged that he could teach hitting. Heinie was with Detroit from 1923 through 1927, and at that time he was part of one of the greatest outfields of all time, with Hall of Famers Ty Cobb, Harry Heilman, and Heinie Manush manning the field. It was in this era, in 1926, that he was able to lead his league in hitting, led the league in 1926 with a .378 batting average. In 1927, Ty Cobb left the Tigers to join Connie Mack in the Philadelphia Athletics. The new manager didn't take a liking to Heinie Manush, and the following year, in 1928, he was traded to the St. Louis Browns, but he still kept up his prolific hitting, and each year hitting over 300. Heinie was a perennial 300 hitter at every level in every place he went. After 3 years with the Browns, Heinie was traded in 1930 to the Washington Senators. This was good for him because he finally got into his first World Series in 1933, as the Senators appeared in the World Series but came up on the short end to the New York Giants. It was here where Heinie got to join his longtime friend, Goose Goslin, who was already a member of the Washington Senators. Heinie and Goose were lifelong friends stemming from an incident in 1928 in which they competed for the batting title. They placed a bet with each other that whoever lost would buy the other guy a new suit, and they did it many years, such that Goose won 3, but Heinie won 5 new suits. They were together in the 1933 World Series, but like I said, unfortunately they did not win, but their friendship lasted forever, so that's a win. After the 1935 season, Heinie Manush left the Senators and began his downward career by jumping to a number of different teams in a few years. He spent 1 year with the Boston Red Sox in 1936. He spent 1937 and 1938 in Brooklyn, and he finished up his career with parts of 1938 and 39 playing for the Pirates and coaching as well at some time. At the conclusion of his playing days, Heinie spent a lot of time playing or being a coach and manager in the minor leagues. Spent a couple years down in North Carolina, some in Virginia, 1 year in Scranton, and back to Virginia. He was a scout for the Pirates and Senators in the 40s and 50s, and in 1954, he was a coach for the Washington Senators. Check out his Topps card. After hanging up his baseball spikes, he picked up some golfing spikes and spent his twilight years down in Florida hitting the links. But he made it a point to do all the Hall of Fame appearances he could. Here's a great picture of forgotten Hall of Famers in some regard. From left to right, Heinie Manush, Bill McKechnie, Hall of Fame manager, Joe Cronin, Paul Wainer, Ed Roush, Luke Appling. Quite the list of Hall of Fame notables that many people barely know of. Heinie was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1964 and died 5 years later in 1969. In trying to figure out why he got elected to the Hall of Fame, it's interesting that the Hall of Fame themselves could find not much to talk about. It mentions his leading average in 1926, his career 330 batting average, and his total of 2,500 hits. Other than that, there's not a lot to say. So that right there is a summary of the career of Heinie Manush, Hall of Famer, 1964. And trying to quantify why he got elected to the Hall of Fame, I think it's fair to say that in essentially 15 full seasons and getting 2,500 hits in a career 330 batting average, he was well deserved of it. But because he played for a variety of teams, the Tigers during Ty Cobb's downward career, the St. Louis Browns for 3 seasons, the Senators when they were, a really bad team and had just one glorious appearance in the World Series. Then bounced around to the Red Sox, the Brooklyn Dodgers before they were the Brooklyn Dodgers, and finally with the Pirates before in the lean years. It's easy to see how he could get forgotten, but he certainly, in my mind, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And he didn't lead the league in anything other than that 1 year in hitting. He wasn't a star. He just, if he was a star, it was on teams that nobody cared about, and he didn't have a lot of postseason success. He didn't lead the league in a lot of categories. He just played his game. So he's one of those forgotten Hall of Famers. And again, this is a guy who was around for a long time. He went to all the Hall of Fame, the baseball functions, and people knew him, but he just wasn't talked about. There was no scandal. He didn't advertise. He wasn't on TV. You know, he just he just lived his life and did his job. So that's all I have for you today. This was Heinie Manush. Hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget the trivia question. Again, Sunday we're going to be doing a drawing. I hope you enjoyed that. If you enjoy these videos, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, and all that jazz. I really appreciate your support. All right. Thanks for watching. Come back on Sunday, and I'll try and come up with another great forgotten Hall of Famer for next week. All right. Thanks for watching. Take care.